What's going on, everybody? I am back to break down the 6-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown, giving you guys the top place to get in that green cash line tonight. As always, before we do, quick reminder, this video is brought to you by PrizePicks. If you haven't checked out PrizePicks, I've been putting out daily content on the channel revolving around it. It's a nice little player prop site where you can pick player props over, under, fantasy points, rebounds, assists. If you're interested in that, you can check out my videos. You can also sign up over there using that promo code KJK DFS or the link below in the description to receive an instant match deposit up to $100 using that promo code. So check them out, guys. And if you are getting very serious about NBA DFS, you can check out my NBA DFS premium packages. I just launched a PrizePicks package over there as well, but you can get the KJK DFS NBA package, the KJK DFS PrizePicks package, or both with the KJK DFS NBA combo package. So check that out, guys. Again, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night. Fan favorite segment on the channel, the guy I'd be locking in my lineups on both DraftKings and FanDuel tonight, guys. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Let's get into this breakdown. If you enjoyed the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. And we're going to start out with Minnesota taking on Detroit. First game on the slate. This game comes in right now with a 227 over-under. It's a 7-point spread in favor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the game is expected to stay close here. And the biggest piece of news that we have in this one is the Cade Cunningham and the D'Angelo Russell questionable tags. Cade Cunningham being listed as questionable after not returning in that game Tuesday with a hip pointer. It's not looking too friendly that he would play in this one. I tend to think he would probably be at least one game after not returning. So I do think that the Detroit Pistons are going to be down one guy here without there being Cade in the rotation, which obviously is going to have a trickle-down effect and going to give a big bump up to a few guys in their rotation. Most notably, we're probably going to see a Corey Joseph get out there and start. At a 4-3 price tag, he could become a viable tournament play here on the Detroit Pistons because he's probably going to play, 30-plus minutes. He gets a lot of minutes when there's no Cade Cunningham on the court, and when you add up those minutes and the price tag, there's going to be a lot of upside built in there. So Corey Joseph is the first guy that I would certainly be willing to take a look to on the slate tonight from the Detroit side. And another guy that's really standing out to me from the Detroit side is going to be Kelly Olynyk. He's 5K. His production has been phenomenal as of late. It's really just a matter of how many minutes is he going to get. When we're looking at the recent performances the last few times out, only 19 and 17 minutes, and the time before only 22, 26, 25. But we've seen him being able to put up like 45, 28, and 36 DraftKings points in those three. Has had a bit of a down game the last few times out, but still grading out as a pretty good play for me in my projection model. So I'd be willing to take some risks on him in tournaments. Once again, though, that's a dicey thing to be banking on. The minutes are a little bit fluctuating here. We've seen him play anywhere from 25, 26 down to like 17 and 19. So not one of my top plays on the slate for sure, but just someone I have to mention because of how he's grading out my projections here. And now we have Jeremiah Grant back on the Detroit side as well. He's only 6'5", and we know he's a good fantasy point producer. Putting up 1.04 DK points per minute on the season. It's a question of the minutes. He's been working his way back from injury. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit rusty as well. But his first game out, he played 29 minutes. So that's pretty promising. Right now, I've got him projected to play at 30 minutes. And he's still grading out as one of the top plays on the slate for me. At only 6'5" price tag, putting up 1.04 DK points per minute on the season. That's a very, very friendly price tag on him. In a 227 over-under game, it's expected to be very up-paced. Very, very enticing to go there for sure. And then running it back on the Minnesota side, it's pretty simple with Minnesota. It's the big three. If D'Angelo Russell's out, that's a big bump up to Russell missed the last 3 games with a lower leg bruise, but has a chance to return Thursday. Not clear whether he'll face a minutes restriction. So that's the latest update, guys. If he's out, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns become just 2 of the top priorities on the slate. We know this Detroit team is not good defensively. Looking at my defensive half-court and putback tool over here on Patreon, as far as how Detroit breaks out, they are a bottom 6 defense in the league, ranking 24th overall in points per possession rank right now, 28th in the half-court points per play rank, 18th in offensive rebounding percentage allowed, and 19th in half-court percentage of plays ranked. So loading up on some Karl-Anthony Towns, some Anthony Edwards, and some D'Angelo Russell is going to make a lot of sense if D'Angelo Russell is not limited. If he is limited and or if he's out, we're going to be taking a much harder look to a Jalen Noel and a Patrick Beverley if he's in. Once again, Patrick Beverley listed as questionable. If he's out and D'Angelo Russell is out, Jalen Noel could become one of the top value plays on the slate tonight. So Yeah, guys, that's my first look at that game right there. Phoenix taking on Atlanta, the second game on the slate. As far as this game's concerned, Trae Young's listed as questionable. DeAndre Ayton's listed as questionable. Trae Young didn't go through the contact part of Tuesday's practice and is a game-time decision. And last time out, he didn't play, so this is kind of a big piece of news, obviously, if Trae Young is indeed out. Going to be taking a much harder look to a DeLon Wright. Also, Lou Williams probably going to see a big bump up. The main candidate here would be a DeLon Wright at a 3.6 price tag. Last time out, 23 minutes, 24 DraftKings points. If we're able to see him kind of, ramp up those minutes again, going to be making a lot of sense to be getting some exposure here. Overall, in this game environment, this game comes in right now with a 223.5 over-under with a 5.5-point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. And the Atlanta Hawks have really not been good defensively, so we're going to talk about the Phoenix side as well. I'm definitely wanting to target some guys on their side. And the one guy that stands out to me in a big way here is Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder's only priced at 4.2 right now, putting up 0.76 DK points per minute on the season after returning last time out. I think this is just too cheap of a price tag if the guy plays. He's listed as probable. He's questionable, but he's more so probable in this one. And played 25 minutes in his return last time out against a Brooklyn team. That team kind of got out of hand at the end of the game. I think we could see him play more minutes in this one. I got him projected for 28 minutes, and he's still grading out really, really good for me here at 4.2. So I think he's worth noting. The obvious candidates for me on the Phoenix side are obviously the big two guys. Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Take it on an Atlanta squad that has not been strong defensively. Looking at my defensive half-court putbacks tool, you can see that Atlanta right now ranking out in the bottom 4 defensively. 27th overall in the league in points per possession rank, 24th half-court points per play rank, and 17th in putbacks. So they're not really good at anything. They're giving up a lot of points, a lot of second-chance opportunities. For that reason, Chris Paul and Devin Booker ceilings going to be a real thing here, especially Devin Booker. They just don't stop scoring. So Devin Booker could definitely have a ceiling game here, and I'd be willing to get plenty of exposure to him. Keep your eyes on the DeAndre Ayton news. He is probable. I'd expect him to be in. Played 28 minutes last time. Hopefully we can see him ramp those minutes up. If he does at 7.4, going to be looking really good in this one. So, yeah, definitely would be going there. Anyone else on the Atlanta side? I mean, John Collins, if there's no Trae Young, gets a big bump up in usage as well. And then you're going to be looking to the guards in Bogdanovich and Kevin Huerter. Those are the main guys to be locking in, especially if there's no DeAndre Hunter. Those guys become even more relevant plays, but he's listed as probable. So probably going to look into a lot of minutes for Huerter, Hunter, and Bogdanovich, all three of which become much better plays if there is no Trae Young. Chicago taking on Toronto is the next game on the slate. This game right now comes in with a 224 over-under, 3.5-point spread in favor of the Toronto Raptors. So expected to stay close, expected to be a fast-paced game. And both sides have some really elite players that dominate all the usage. So this is going to be a spot we're definitely wanting to get exposure to. DeMar DeRozan, a little bit of a revenge narrative, I guess you could say, in Toronto. I don't think it's much of a revenge narrative. I think it's more of a love narrative when it comes to DeMar DeRozan. But it's going to be in Toronto. I'm sure he's going to want to showing out for the former home crowd. So I like DeMar DeRozan a bunch here at 9.2. Statistically, outside of the narrative and all that stuff, regardless, it's a really good matchup here. Take it on a Toronto squad in this fast, up-tempo game. And we know the fantasy point per minute production is going to be there for a DeMar DeRozan. So he's someone that I'm certainly willing to get a lot of exposure to here. And I'm definitely going to want to have some interest in his teammates as well, in Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's listed as questionable. He is more so probable, so I expect him to be able to go at 8.9. You get a nice friendly discount on him. His production has dipped a little bit the last few times out, but we know he has 50-plus fantasy point upside anytime he takes the floor in a close game. And the same can be said for Nikola Vucevic at 9.1. So sprinkling these guys in your lineups, realistically, you're probably going to want to make a rule to only have 2 of them per lineup. If you're making multiple lineups, if you're making one lineup, you could probably only have a max of 2 of these guys, because getting the third one there at his upside is going to be a little bit difficult. If there was ever time to do it, though, this would be the matchup. I think so. I mean, I just think both sides are going to play a lot of minutes, and the game's expected to stay close, which is huge. And the same can be said on the other side. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, both those pay-up options, really solidified minutes, both very good fantasy point producers. Both the guys I'm going to have a lot of interest in, and then you can go down to the mid-range as well. OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent. I would say if you're playing those 2 pay-up options, you're probably going to want to limit yourself to one of these 3 mid-range guys. And if you're not playing those top options, you can, kind of load up on more of these mid-range guys, and a Trent, a Scotty Barnes, and an OG Anunoby. That would kind of be my approach, because, they're negatively correlated. For every time one of the other scores a bucket or gets a rebound, the other one can't, obviously. So for me, my top 3 options, just based on the recent performances, it's kind of easy how this is going out. Gary Trent's been scoring a lot. Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby have kind of been fillers. And then we've seen Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet really scoring a lot. So it's going to be Siakam, VanVleet, and Trent for me, with Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby mixed in. It's just a matter of time before these guys have big games. So don't sleep on them, but they have been kind of playing that role as of late. Trent's really been providing the most upside. So it's kind of where I'm looking to go. I already talked about the Chicago side. Anyone else on the Chicago side, I'd be looking to, lastly, Kobe White at 5.5 price tag. He's been playing right around 30 minutes a game. Do you think he's grading out as a pretty great play for me right now, with all that being said? So would certainly be willing to get some exposure there. And I've got him projected right now for 30 minutes, 0.81 DK points per minute. That's just going to make him grade out as a phenomenal play. And I really do like him. Followed up by Nikola Vucevic on the Chicago side, so I think he looks really good. Followed up by Zach LaVine, followed up by DeMar DeRozan. They're all kind of bundled here in my projections. But once again, VanVleet, Siakam, exactly what we just went over. Looking really, really good on this slate tonight. So definitely want to be going there, guys. And definitely liking this game. This game's going to be a great one. Next game on the slate, we have Miami taking on the San Antonio Spurs as far as a total in this game. This game comes in right now with a 219 over-under. It's a 4-point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. We do have some big injury news here. DeJounte Murray listed as questionable. That's obviously huge if he's out. Trey Jones likely going to become a really good value play. Jimmy Butler listed as questionable. If he's out, we see Max Strus, Caleb Martin. And Kyle Lowry listed as questionable. If he is out, we're going to see Gabe Vincent, Kyle Guy probably take a little bit of a backseat. If he's back in, though, could be a big bump up in usage for him, considering he's been missing. And there might be without Jimmy Butler, so he could be back in a really high role here. We'd be loading up on Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, that big three, and then putting some Max Strus and some Caleb Martin in our lineup as some value plays. So that's really big news. We can't really elaborate. I just kind of gave you a breakdown of what would happen if each predicament plays out. Also, PJ Tucker listed as questionable, which is a solid 36 minutes in the rotation, so that could be an even bigger bump up to those wing minute guys. So yeah, that's a big piece of news. All those, we really need that information. And to be honest with you, we can't really talk about this game overall until we get it. I mean, if DeJounte Murray's out, same thing. If he's in, it's going to be kind of the same, game as always. But if he's out, we're going to be taking a much harder look to a Derek White, a Kelvin Johnson. Both have become really big priorities for me on the slate. And we already have confirmation that there's going to be no Jakob Poeltl. So Drew Eubanks going to operate as the San Antonio Spurs starting center, which is obviously a big piece of news at this 3.3 price tag. What his minutes are going to be is a big question mark. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be enough to make him too great of a play, to be honest with you, because they're typically somewhat limited here. But, yeah, Keldon Johnson, Doug McDermott at 4.2. Going to be looking like much better plays if those guys are out. Lonnie Walker at 4.3, going to be look like much better plays. So just we're going to have to keep our eyes on this news, guys, because Doug McDermott's even listed as questionable. So then we're looking to, a lot more Lonnie Walker exposure for sure. And then we didn't even touch on Caleb Martin on the Miami side, also listed as questionable. So if he's out, then it just becomes even more Tyler Hero, Max Strus exposure. So yeah, hopefully that's kind of somewhat of a helpful first look for you guys. We'll be talking about that on the live stream later on today. Sacramento taking on the Golden State Warriors. Next game on the slate. As far as the total in this game comes in with a 222.5 over-under, 13-point spread in favor of the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are very good. The Sacramento Kings are very bad. So you can imagine how this one's probably going to go. Realistically, the Warriors gave all their guys a game off last time. Now they're all going to be back. Probably not looking too pretty. De'Aaron Fox listed as out right now, but I think he is going to be listed as questionable here later on in the day. So keep your eyes on that news. If he continues to be out, Tyrese Halliburton gets a big bump up in usage. Problem is he gets the worst matchup in the league, taking on a Golden State Warriors team that ranks number 1 overall in the league defensively. So targeting the Sacramento squad tonight for me is going to be really tough in a game that's expected to blow out and is not expected to stay close. On the Golden State Warriors side, I mean, this is one of the best possible matchups you could ask for, taking on a Sacramento squad that ranks second to last in the league defensively. It's just a question of will the game stay close. They rank bottom 5 in the league in pretty much every defensive statistical category here, as a general consensus here. Bottom 10 for sure. And that's going to make Stephen Curry look very intriguing here. He can really put up a lot of points. Same can be said for Klay Thompson at 6K. If there was ever a time for him to get it going, I think this would be it. After going 1 for 8 and 2 for 8 from behind the arc the last 2 times out. Still putting up 31 and 26 DraftKings points. Getting the game off last time. Klay Thompson is an intriguing tournament play for me. I certainly think we could see him get hot. Against the same Kings team, he put up 37 points in a quarter against that one time out, that's like one of my favorite clips of all time, so I love watching that. But Otto Porter being listed as questionable. Jonathan Kuminga wants Connor Anderson to get a big bump up if he's back, but yeah, I mean, it's a little bit scary. I mean, Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, if this game's going to stay close, they probably both have big games. So if you want to load up on this game overall and just hope it stays close, those are the guys you're looking to get exposure to, along with Halliburton. And same can be said for Rashawn Holmes here at 5K. But overall, I'm surprisingly just probably trying to limit my exposure outside of going to some mid-range plays on the Golden State Warriors side. Like Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson, I think are priced reasonably enough to where I have a lot of interest in both of those guys. But outside of that, not really too intrigued to be going here overall. Kevon Looney is a guy that I forgot to touch on at 5'2". I think he looks pretty decent. But my projections right now are going to have to be altered a little bit from a first look aspect, because I can tell you right now I still have these guys inflated in their minutes a little bit from the last time when all these Warriors guys were out. So I wouldn't take that too seriously. Kevon Looney looks like a decent play, though, I will say, at a 5'2" price tag. Been playing right around 25 minutes a game. Is a very good fantasy point producer, 0.95 DK points per minute. And he gets to take on a Sacramento squad who right now ranks 29th, second to last in putbacks. So that's going to be a good matchup for him. Last game on the slate, we have the LA Lakers taking on the LA Clippers. As far as the total in this game comes in with a 217.5 over-under. It's a 3-point spread in favor of the LA Clippers, so expected to stay close. Expected to be a decent pace game overall. And we still have no LeBron James, most likely, on the LA Lakers side, I believe. He's listed as out. He'll probably be listed as questionable. Once again, I think this is similar to the De'Aaron Fox news, where the DraftKings app still has him listed as out, but he's probably going to be questionable. So he could be back. That's a big piece of news. If he comes back, obviously that's going to be a big dip down to an Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook if he continues to be out. Going to be having a lot of interest in Anthony Davis, specifically at 9.8. Also, we'll be having a lot of interest in Russell Westbrook, though. Anthony Davis putting up 57 DraftKings points last time out, and his price tag has dipped down to 9.8, so I will gladly jump on that price tag discount. And running it back on the other side with the LA Clippers, I mean, Malik Monk's the third guy for the LA Lakers that I'm really going to have a lot of interest in. And then also you can be taking a look to a Carmelo Anthony, who had a big game last time out, 43 points. Those are the two guys that can get hot and provide you with high upside games in your tournament lineups. On the LA Clippers side, they are really unpredictable in their rotations and everything. For me, the one guy or two guys I'm really solid in their minutes are going to be Amir Coffey and Marcus Morris. They seem to be the ones that I'm least worried about losing minutes. And they do get a great matchup here, taking on an LA Lakers squad that has not been strong defensively. Last year, one of the strongest teams defensively in the league. This year, not so much. So overall, mixing and blending these LA Clippers guys certainly doesn't make sense. Eric Bledsoe at 4.5. You have all these guys always grade out as like pretty decent plays. It's just a matter of whether they get the minutes, and the rotation is a little bit unpredictable. So Amir Coffey, do like him. Marcus Morris, like I said, I think those are the two guys with the most minutes locked into the rotation, typically speaking. We could also be taking a bunch of darts on Luke Kennard, Eric Bledsoe, Nicholas Batum, and Reggie Jackson. I just never feel confident about it. We saw Reggie Jackson play like 21, 27, 31 minutes all of a sudden. We've seen him get pulled from the game early. Terrence Mann is a guy that typically plays a lot of minutes in this type of a spot. Only saw him play 23 minutes last time out in a close game. So it's just a little bit dicey. Justice Winslow at 3.6. We've seen his minutes tick up a little bit. He is a good fantasy point producer, and he is cheap in the mid 3K range. So if you want to go there, don't hate it. And yeah, that's kind of where I'd be looking to. From a first look aspect here on this one, guys, taking a quick look over to FanDuel, talking about some pricing discrepancies on the websites, talking about some guys we might want to be targeting. Overall, we already kind of went over the slate, but let's see. Guys I might want to be targeting, we're looking to, I think that Harrison Barnes in the mid-K range at only 5.7 is an interesting option. Talked about that game probably not staying close, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, if it does, he's probably going to have a big part to do with it. You get a little bit of a revenge narrative taking on his former team, and the price tag's just very friendly, so at 5.7 I would be willing to go there. See the point guard position. We talked about Chris Paul against Atlanta. Definitely viable. Stephen Curry at 9.3 I think is a great price to take advantage of. Even if that game doesn't stay close against Sacramento, he could still get you there at that price tag. But I do really like the discount going to Fred VanVleet at 8.4. Certainly really do like getting some exposure there. Let's see who else we're going with here. Derek White at 6.4. If there's no DeJounte Murray, becomes a really great play. At the point guard position, you have Corey Joseph at 4.8, with there being most likely no Cade Cunningham. So that's going to be big time. Russell Westbrook at 8.5 is a really friendly price tag, with there being no LeBron James if he's out. Shooting guard position, Devin Booker at 9-1, that's a friendly price tag. DeMar DeRozan at 9-4, friendly price tag. Anthony Edwards at 8-3, friendly price tag. Zach LaVine at 7-7, friendly price tag. FanDuel typically does a really bad job of pricing these guys up. Gary Trent's finally seen a big price hike. He's getting a little bit scary at 7-1 to be playing, to be honest. He's very scoring reliant. He's put up 30-plus real-life points the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, so it's just a matter of time before he doesn't shoot well. He might be one of my top fades over here on FanDuel, to be honest with you. Tyler Hero at 6K, if there's no Jimmy Butler, becomes a really great play. Kevin Huerter at 5-5, we talked about, if there's no Trae Young. So, a lot of the same stuff we kind of discussed over there on DraftKings, but I'm just kind of going through it. OG Anunoby at 8-1 is decent. Andrew Wiggins at 7K against the Sacramento squad that's really bad defensively. Keldon Johnson at 6-1 really would like if there is no DeJounte Murray. Kevin Huerter we talked about. Nicholas Batum's worth taking some shots on in tournaments. Marcus Morris, Lonnie Walker would be much better play if all those, if there's no Doug McDermott, DeJounte Murray, etc. We talked about Jay Crowder at that 4-8 price tag, getting a lot of minutes now in his return. Justice Winslow's worth taking some risks on. Caleb Martin, Max Struss, definitely going to be a thing if there's no Jimmy Butler and those guys are in. Bam Adebayo, same thing. Would get a big bump up. Pascal Siakam at 9-2, I'm really going to like. Anthony Davis at 9-6, I'm really going to like in games that are expected to stay close. Paying up at the power forward position would make a lot of sense. Vanderbilt at 5-9, been playing a lot of minutes. Really good for some rebounds and priced very reasonably on FanDuel. Good for blocks and steals as well, so at 5-9, I do think he's pretty intriguing there. And then at the center position, Vucevic at 8-7, like. Anthony Davis at 9-6, I like. Karl Anthony Towns, obviously. John Collins, Clint Capella, decent. Overall, I could pretty much guarantee I'm going to have a lot of interest in Adebayo, Vooch, Anthony Davis in that range here, like the 8-2 to 9-6 range. And, and DeAndre Ayton could be interesting at 7-3 if he gets a tick up in minutes against that terrible Atlanta defense. And then you have the also Kevon Looney, but he does have power forward eligibility at 5'8 against the Sacramento squad. So that is my overall breakdown, guys. First look at this slate today. Before I let you guys go, got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be DeMar DeRozan. Headed back to Toronto in this game environment in a fast up-tempo game that's expected to stay close with two competitive teams. We know the type of fantasy point production that this guy supplies. You get a little bit of a narrative here returning to Toronto. I'm sure he wants to put on a show. And the fact of the matter remains, anytime a game stays close and this guy's expected to get big minutes, I want to have interest in him. Love him on both websites tonight. Love the spot. Love the narrative. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. So there we go, guys. DeMar DeRozan. Get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you enjoyed the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. Wish you all the best of luck tonight. Hopefully we'll see you later on in the live stream. If not, we will see you in the next one.